Salutare tuturor și bine v-am regăsit la seria de podcasturi #IGDLCC. E o ocazie rară în care ieșim din studio, dar ieșim cu un motiv așa important, pentru că invitatul meu de astăzi, un tip mult mai deștept, mult mai bogat, mult mai conectat ca mine, este foarte ocupat și este în România pentru puțin timp. Doamnelor și domnilor, invitatul de astăzi este Adeo Ressi. Hello Adeo, welcome to Romania.
Thank you.
So you're the founder of the Founder Institute. Or
someone needs to be the founder of the Founder Institute, yes.
So what's
or
the
you could say I'm the CEO.
The CEO, you're handling things.
And I have a co-founder as well, so you could actually say I'm the co-founder of the Founder Institute. But technically, I sort of started it first and brought him on, so either is right.
So you're an entrepreneur yourself?
Yes.
Frustrated by venture capitalists and stuff like that?
Well, look, let's be clear. I'm more of a societal engineer, and entrepreneurship happens to be the tool that I use to make society more beautiful. So
Okay.
I started being a societal engineer as an entrepreneur, right? And I started companies that I thought would improve the world, make the world more beautiful. And then I realized that entrepreneurship as a field is a great field to work in to improve the world and make the world more beautiful. So I switched from working as an entrepreneur to working on the field of entrepreneurship.
So were you frustrated by the way things were going, or you just wanted more beauty? Because you're a serial entrepreneur, you're in the 12, you told me...
Give or take. Yeah.
Give or take, but you've also helped in the meanwhile more than 3,000?
4,000, more than 4,000.
Already, 4,000 startups.
4,500.
And growing. By the end of this interview, there's going to be a few more. Added.
6 a day.
Only today you're going to have 6 startups that you're going to
on
have.
average. So they batch graduate, so it's over 6 a day.
So let's explain to our viewers what you are actually doing with Founder Institute, because it's inspiring.
It's not that hard. We help people who have an idea and want to start a business correctly to launch their idea into the world with the best outcome for success. Now, you could be at the idea with a job stage. You could have recently quit your job, or maybe even you have an MVP. So we can help anyone sort of up to the MVP get the business going in the best possible way.
Get the business going, not necessarily get funded right away.
Well, so it turns out that funding comes later, right? You need to start the business, you need to marshal some resources, and you need to begin on the journey. And once you've started on that journey, then you can raise funding. So we're really focused on that initial, what we call 0 to 1. 0 is I have the desire to be an entrepreneur and a rough idea. 1 is you've incorporated a company and you have the beginnings of a team, product, and traction. Then from 1 to 2, at 2, you have a team and you have a product. And at 3, that product starts to get traction in the marketplace. So Founder Institute operates squarely in 0 to 1. If you look at some other programs like Techstars or Y Combinator, they really operate from 2 to 3, where they take a full-time team with a product and they help them get product market fit and traction.
So they can exit sooner.
That might be an outcome. I think exits are not the goal.
Really?
Yes.
So why do you put your money into this?
Well, we get exits. I'm not complaining about them. We get sometimes multiple exits a month. In fact, we're averaging over 1 exit a month, probably 2 or 3 exits a month.
Okay.
And The reality is, don't get me wrong, I certainly don't mind getting checks from exits, but in another way, they also make me sad because the company will change or die as a result of an exit. So I think, people should start businesses that they intend to run forever.
Forever.
Well, until they can hand it off to someone else to run.
And keep them going and make them better. Because what I see from different entrepreneurs is that most of the times the guy starting the business is actually killing it because he cannot take it from point 1 to 2 or from 2 to 3 and so forth.
Well, whose fault is that? Is that the entrepreneur's fault, or is that the fault of the people that are trying to help them and support them? So if you have, a person who's trying and they don't have the experience and knowledge and resources around them to be successful, it's a multifaceted problem. It's not just the entrepreneur's problem. I think society is in part to blame. So I'll give you a simple example. Romania, not a lot of funding here. Okay,
we know
so
that.
It's not terrible, but it's not great, right? In fact, it's towards terrible, not towards great.
Thank you for your honesty.
So if an entrepreneur here in Romania starts getting successful and they're like, okay, now I need to go raise funding, it's a bit of a dead end, right?
Yes.
Now, is it the entrepreneur's fault then if they struggle? No. Maybe it's not 100% their fault. It's not 100% Romania's fault. It's just, it is what it is. So we all have a responsibility to help these people who are trying in many cases to make their lives better, the world better, the lives of their team better, the lives of their customers better. We should all be looking to make the path of success easier for them.
Most of the times I'm seeing entrepreneurs that start with an idea, and some of them are almost genius. I can see a very intelligent guy come up with a great idea, but he cannot turn it into a business. And this is why I agree that you cannot ask from someone who's an innovator to also be an entrepreneur. How do we help someone who has a great idea turn it into a business without succumbing in the first, after the first few steps?
Businesses fail when the entrepreneur gives up. So for most of the time, in the first, let's say, 7 years of a company's existence, maybe even 10, the existence of the business is really tethered to the passion of the entrepreneur. So I think it's difficult to say, oh, there's an idea and then there's someone who runs the business. I think the idea, the passion, and the business are related to the passion and commitment of the founding team, and they really carry that vision and passion forward and turn it into something in the world by bringing more and more people who share that vision and who share that passion on. And so the durability of a business and the success of a business depends on that passion being really pure and brought forth in the world. So if you're an entrepreneur, classic rookie mistake that you can make is start to compromise on your passion, vision, beliefs, and values with the new hires that you make, with the investors that you bring on, with the partners that you work with the customers that you sell. And every time you make a small compromise on your passion, on your vision, on your beliefs, and on your values, you erode the sort of durability of the business to succeed.
Have you been seeing that through all your career? Because it sounds like just like another motivational speech, but it's actually is the truth.
Yes.
So you should use your passion.
That wasn't a motivational speak at all. If you want, we can do motivational speaking, but that's actually true. It's like gravity. It pulls things in, and that can be both good and bad. So sometimes companies are founded on what might be negative intentions, negative values. So for example, Facebook is great because Mark started Facebook to creep on women at Harvard. I mean, it was pretty clear in the early days because I was around when it got started, and it started skipping from colleges. So the origin story was, he wanted to look at pictures of girls in his dorm.
He just looked in the mirror and he understood he needs technology.
Well, I'm not going to go there, but look, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's not like, okay, you want to, and now 20-ish years later, just around 20 years later, the company's struggling with privacy and user data protection issues and violating privacy.
Failing
but
democracy.
A lot of that comes from the origin story, where it was really in many ways designed that way from the beginning. So the origin story, that, as you were saying, or the motivation at the beginning, carries through for long periods of time. And let's go to another, also uncomfortable subject, which is the massive amount of sexual harassment that's coming out around Google right now.
Yes.
And they paid off people who were caught, if you will, in sexual harassment incidents at the company. In some cases received massive bonuses upon being asked to leave, like the founder of Android, etc. And it turns out that the head lawyer at Google, who's leaving right now under a cloud of sexual harassment, who is probably one of the most, if not the most powerful person at the company, he was the guy making the deals for the other guys to leave, and he's doing the same thing. So it's pervasive in the culture of these organizations from the beginning. Some of these things that are now manifesting negatively. So going back, there's a positive side, like what's the passion, what's the conviction, but there's also negative sides that we need to be careful about. And you want to, when you get started, really trying to be as pure and as good as possible in your intentions is very important, because if you do end up being successful 10, 20 years later, even sort of these small things in the beginning will just keep growing and growing and growing, and can become existential threats to your business, like what you're seeing with like a huge percentage of the Google workforce walking out, or Facebook under real deep regulatory threat right now.
Yeah, but these guys are actually, they act like they're too big to fail. And I think Silicon Valley is...
that's a bunch of hooey. And even the banks being too big to fail. Basically, the global economy was too big to fail. The banks were part of the global economy, and so when the government propped up the banks, what they were really doing is propping up the global economy.
Which they're doing again.
Who is doing what? The government's propping up the global economy? I don't think so.
They're printing money, everything. It seems like there's
the current success in the world today is 100% due to the innovation economy and very little to do with government. Government doesn't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on. I can tell you what's going on. After the last crash, innovation has spread throughout the world.
Okay.
If you look at 2009, 2008, the time of the last crash and the recovery, and you look at the world then, you had a world that was run by governments and essentially politicians and bankers, right? And there were two seats at the table, the politicians and the bankers. If you looked at no one else was at the table. So over the course of the last 10 years, entrepreneurs and innovators around the world have taken a seat at the table.
Like whom?
And started to really change things. Well, I mean, it's not like one person. It's not like one banker was sitting at the table, though there are certainly a few bankers at the table. But it's more like who is contributing to the value of what we're trying to build collectively in society. It was politicians and bankers, and now entrepreneurs. Now, there's actual entrepreneurs who are doing it, sitting at the table, but leaving that aside, the point is that entrepreneurs have a seat at the table, and as a result, we've seen the longest run of a bull market in recent history.
Yeah, it's growing like crazy, and everybody says it's unsustainable on the long run. So
that's not true. This should have happened long ago. All that's happening right now is innovation is starting to spread from primary cities to secondary cities, from developed nations to developing nations, from primary cities in developing nations to secondary cities in developing nations. And all that innovation is creating new value for the economy that is, increasing the value of Google and Amazon and Apple, because Apple's selling more computers and Amazon's selling more, AWS, and so all this innovation is propelling the global economy upwards, and has a long way to go. There's tons of countries that are like in the innovation dark ages, and that are coming online today. And then it will start again in their primary cities and spread to their secondary cities. So if I operate in 200 cities, so I have a pretty good sense of what the innovation world looks like. And I can tell you right now that we've got about a third of humanity in some sort of awakened and aware state of innovation, and we have 2/3 to go. So there's a lot of ways to go. And when the whole crash of 2007, 2008 happened, we were at 10%. So we've gone from 10% to maybe a third. So it's still a long way to go.
So you're an optimist.
Decades. 2 decades.
2 decades. Okay.
Comfortably.
You're giving me hope because you're an optimistic, but you're optimistic based on data. You're an engineer or societal engineer, like you say.
Among other things.
Among other things.
I'm an actual engineer as well, but.
Engineer in what field?
Well, I studied architecture, but I'm a programmer. So I program.
Okay.
I still program.
But they're still compatible?
Yeah,
architecture and programming and all that?
Yes.
So the whole economy is booming, actually, and it's going to keep on growing, you're saying.
For a couple decades.
For a couple decades. So for the next couple decades, if I would invest in startups and new technologies, I would be set for life. And I would have a very good old age pension.
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, what would be a wealth creation strategy? That's in my view, that's a mistaken way of thinking, because money is not an end. Money is a means to an end. So if you want to go do something, you need money to go do it. And if you want to go do something that is good and important, you will find the money to do it. No problem. There's too much money in the world today. The world is awash with money.
Exactly.
And people are spending it on stupid things that don't matter. And I need a special kind of car with a special kind of paint that's super special, that costs so much money. And it's and so what's happened today is people kill themselves working on things that don't matter to make money, to buy things to fill the void in their life, because they have been working on things that don't matter. and then they find themselves in this negative, vicious cycle, working hard on things that don't matter, to buy things to fill the void in their life that doesn't fill the void in their life, so they think they have to buy something else even bigger and work more, and then buy something bigger, and it's all just a big empty vacuum. And I know many of the wealthiest people on the planet, and they're not happy.
Okay. Not even when you're wealthy, you're not happy. You can buy whatever you like. You can fill that void.
No,
or
you
maybe
can't.
you can go on Facebook and troll other people, or post something and get more likes.
The void is unfillable. Purpose fills the void. So if you work on something that matters, and the resources come to you to achieve what you want, you feel the fulfillment, and you switch from a vicious cycle to a virtuous cycle.
Okay.
Where the things that you work on matter, the resources that you need come, which allows you to do more of what matters and get more resources, and then that's the virtuous cycle.
And then you change the world.
Yeah, and then you change the world, right? And listen, the second you start working on something that matters, your whole world changes anyway, because you start the virtuous cycle path. And everyone today is stuck in a vicious cycle where they don't work on anything that matters. They make this money, they can't spend it in a way that fulfills them. They go on vacations, they become alcoholics, all this stuff is unfulfilled. Right?
Substances, city breaks, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're actually talking to me, but you're talking to entrepreneurs. I can see that. So you're talking about...
I'm talking the truth.
Of course.
Which no one talks about. We live in a world where the media, politicians, and many, many others spread lies. And it's time that needs to stop. And just say what the truth is. Okay. And
it's all a trade war.
Bring me a happy rich person. I'd love to talk to them. See how happy they actually are. And then listen, like, I'm not super rich at this moment. I've been rich, richer than any friend that I know, and I've been poor, and none of that has affected my well-being and happiness. The thing that affects my well-being and happiness is, actually working on something that matters.
Okay. So, as you know, Romanians are not so eager to take chances. So the failure rate is very small here. From what I hear from local entrepreneurs and angel investors, if they actually start something, they will make good at that. So how do you actually start? Because there's a lot of opportunity. There's 2 decades of growth ahead. The markets are awash with money. How do you start? How do you get from, I'm okay with this well-paid job at this multinational?
Yeah, but no one's okay with a well-paid job at a multinational. I mean, how many people do you know that are happily working at a multinational?
I know a guy, he's an engineer actually, and in his free time, he drag races or goes drift racing. So he says he's happy.
Well, look, I mean, yes, there are things you can live a compromise where you say, I drift or drag race on the weekends, and that brings me joy to counteract the crap that I do during the week. And there's some stuff, don't get me wrong, I think like there are people who their jobs can be very fulfilling. If you're building or making something, if you're helping people in a hospital or as a doctor, I'm not saying that all jobs are vicious cycles, but I mean a lot of jobs in banking, a lot of jobs in multinational corporations are really just soul destroying on every level, like traffic. It's like being stuck in congestion on a highway. So, if you want to start something, start with yourself, right? And find what is your purpose. And if you're not doing it, right, which is likely you're not, then know what it is, right, is step one. And then, if you can find a job where you're doing what your purpose is, and I brought up a bunch of jobs that are very purposeful. But if you can't find a job that fulfills your purpose, then you probably should start something, and soon. So all entrepreneurship is a journey of self-discovery and self-expression, because anything that you create as an entrepreneur, because it's coming from that origin story of your passion and purpose, your passion and purpose grows as the organization grows, and how it expresses itself in the world changes over time. But the very first step is that self-awareness, and can you satisfy your purpose by taking a job, or do you need to start something?
How much do you know about the Romanian scene? Because you've been telling me there's not enough money for the projects that should start here. We only have one unicorn here.
I'm a pretty good expert on startup ecosystems, but I know the world over. So I'm familiar with Eastern Europe and Romania in the same way that I'm familiar with most startup ecosystems. So pretty good, I would say.
So what do you know about this place? What are the specifics? What's different from the Silicon Valley we want to recreate everywhere?
Well, I would not want to recreate Silicon Valley everywhere. That's certainly, don't do that. That's a bad idea.
Which side of it? San Francisco side of it?
Why want to be something that you're not? Why just be the best version of yourself? Don't try to be someone else. And I'm going to make it very simple. Eastern Europe has a lot of countries with pros and cons. Romania has maybe less of a service economy than you see in Bulgaria, and even less than or more innovation than, let's say, in Ukraine. There are things. Ukraine has some amazing talent and so does Romania. So they're the little ways that one country's better than the other country. But if you just look at the region, the countries are kind of even, right now. Whereas if you go to Western Europe and you say, what are the hubs of startups? It's London, Paris, Berlin. Okay. Go to Eastern Europe and say, what are the hubs of startups? It's like, they're all kind of equal, right?
Okay.
There's a little bit better things in Ukraine and Kiev than, let's say, in Bucharest, but Bucharest has some better things, and so it's just like, so I think that right now there's this period where everything's kind of equal in the region, but within the next 2 to 5 years, there's going to be one or two, probably one, city that just breaks out.
Okay.
Now, I think Bucharest is a contender and has potential. And I see a lot of people becoming aware of that and starting to feel like something's happening here to that effect, which is very positive. Another city that I see with great potential is Kiev. And I actually have operations in Sofia. So, I know a lot of the cities in the region pretty well. So I don't think there's any clear answer right now. I do think right now Kiev has a little bit of a head start, but it's like a head start that's irrelevant. It's like the race gun was fired, whatever, seconds ago.
Okay. But imagine you would be talking to the president or the prime minister, and you would be telling me the secret recipe to make Bucharest great. Anew, not again.
Yeah, so no, it's super easy. I would do these specific two things, and Bucharest would be number one within 18 months. Zero capital gains on all investment income, So zero capital gain taxes. So whatever you make, you don't pay any taxes.
In what field? In what kind of?
I mean, I would say, technology investing, it's pretty hard to make that definitionally. So, but you could certainly define it by stage. So you could say zero capital gains on, all early stage investing, for example, and you could put some definitional parameters around that. Because what you want to do is you want to attract as many investors to drop what they're doing in other cities and move here. And then I would say the government of Romania would give 50% matching funds to any venture capital firm set up in the country in 2020. Now, what that would do, those two changes, and then, maybe if you wanted to go one step further, you could even give tax discounts on angel investments made. So if you can basically deduct some of your investment capital. But those two, the first two that I said, so 50% discount, for example, if you put $100,000 in a company, you could take 50% as a tax write-off. That would be a third, but the first two should be fine. What that would do is that every angel investor in the region would be like, damn, I need to be doing some investing over in Romania and Bucharest. Yeah. And the second thing is everyone who's thinking of starting a fund or raising a fund in the region would be like, stop what you're doing. Move to Romania. We're going to get 50% matching funds from the government. Do that for 1 year. It might cost the government, let's say, anywhere from 100 to 500 million, realistically, right? Because how much can be done in 1 year's time? But the impact to you as a country taking the leadership role in the region, you would be the leader in the region by 2021.
And you would make that money back in
no
time.
You'd make that, it's infinitely more. Because once you have the funds and the investors all here, then if you're a Bulgarian, if you're from any country within, the sphere, even as far as Berlin, would be like, so many funds in Romania, and I should go there to raise. And so they may not raise the money here, but you'll be on the map. So they're coming here, right? And maybe they say, maybe we need an office here, maybe we need to set something up here. So you just start sucking the talent. Here's the reality. It doesn't matter anymore where you are. It doesn't matter.
We keep on saying that, but...
No, it doesn't matter.
Why do you say that?
No, physical offices don't matter, right? Locations don't matter. The world is changing so fast. Like, if you just look at my team, I've got some people in Silicon Valley, some people in Colorado. I've got people all over the world. I have a satellite office in Sofia. I've got some people in India. I mean, I just have people all around the world, right? And then we have 200 cities with operations, but like, just my FTEs are all around the world. And I'm maybe more conservative than we were started 10 years ago. So like, imagine a company getting started today. Like, you need a computer vision engineer. You're going to try and find the best computer vision engineer you can find. You're not going to try to find the best local computer vision engineer. So, it's just, location doesn't matter anymore. It matters what your vision is, what your values are, the problem you're working on, and then you attract the best talent you can find anywhere in the world.
But you need to start. You cannot do it all on your own. And we are not born and raised in entrepreneurship culture. We are not born to be entrepreneurs. Most of the Romanians are born and raised.
Well, no one's born to be an entrepreneur. Well, that's tight. Some people have traits that make them better as an entrepreneur than others. But, I mean, we study this, and I would say less than 2% of humanity has the mental capabilities to succeed as an entrepreneur easily.
How many?
Less than 2%.
Okay. Give me just a sec. This one is untouched. I see you need some more water.
Oh, thank you. So
No
it's a small percentage of humanity that's even equipped to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but it's also about the mindset. So our schools tell children not to be too noisy. Don't step.
Everyone tells their children not to be too noisy. I tell my children not to be too noisy. They're pretty noisy though. Listen,
Okay.
it's
How do you start it? How do you make?
there's no look.
Is there an army of one? Is there really an army of one, or you need at least a few people? How do you make it work?
So Russia is like being an entrepreneur is like trying to grow grass on asphalt, right? You're throwing seeds on asphalt. And yeah, sure, there might be a crack somewhere, a seed comes in and some grass comes
Okay.
out. It's really tough, right? It's like tough place to start a business. In Romania, it's like much easier. It's like not even in the same. So look,
It's just
is it
dry
too-
land.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm not saying it's the fertile river delta, okay? But I would argue that there are places where it's too easy, and then there are places where it's too hard, and both are bad. So Romania is definitely leaning towards too hard, but in the middle.
Okay.
The U.S. has probably got it just right, because it isn't easy in the U.S., but it's not too hard, it's not too easy, and like Singapore is the extreme of easy. So you've got, so Russia might be an extreme on hard, Singapore is an extreme on easy, and to be fair, Romania is kind of in the middle, right?
Okay.
But middle leaning hard. So the good news is your environment's not that bad. So you want to get started. Like, the problem isn't, is it too hard or there's not enough money or whatever. It's just people don't actually think, oh, I can do this, right? But it's a deeper issue, as I brought up, because people get stuck in these vicious cycles of they have a job, they're working for money, they're getting the stuff, they drag race on the weekends. That kind of makes them happy, but it's unfulfilling,
Okay.
and they're stuck in this loop. So you just got to say what's needed is that a self-awareness of what your purpose is, right? Then a hard look at the life you're living and say, is this really fulfilling my purpose? And if the answer is no, then switch careers or start a company. And if that happened here, I promise you'd have thousands of more companies in Romania, and you need thousands of more.
Okay, but if I would look long and hard at what I wish for, I would wish to reverse climate change. I'm all about sustainability. Can I turn that into a business?
That's sort of a superficial examination of maybe what you want, not who you are. And so what I would, so all right, if you want to go there, you know, sure, I want that too, right? But that's not who I am. I'm a societal engineer. That is who I am. That's just what I've been interested in since I've been young. That's what I'm good at. That's what I like to do. That's what I like to think about. That's what I wake up doing. That's what I go to bed doing. That's what I care about. That's what I'm willing to sacrifice for. That's who I am. Like, you know, I could bullshit myself and say, you know, but I'm really like, you know, I don't know, like a rock star. And like, can you sing? No. Can you play a musician, any musical instrument? No. So I'm not a rock star, you know? But I am a societal engineer, and it's what
Okay.
I really like. So, you know, a reflection of who you are. Like, so you're very good at interviewing, right?
Working on it.
Well, okay. Do you like it?
Of course.
All right. So what do you like about it?
I like getting to know people that I can learn from and evolve. Like
Right.
you.
But you also like giving people a platform
Yeah.
to share their ideas and
Of
their
course.
thoughts. Okay. So you like to empower people.
Yes.
That's pretty clear. Okay. Well, there's a clue in that And maybe that is it, right? Maybe, hey, my mission, my purpose is to provide platforms that empower people. Okay? I don't know. Okay. I'm just bringing, maybe that is it. Yeah. Or in that range, right? So just, you got to dive deeper until that kernel comes out and say, yeah, this feels right to me. This is, when I say it, it feels like me. When I do it, it feels like me.
So it really needs to be about you, even if you're crazy and I don't know.
There's no crazy. Like,
come on,
there are mentally ill people, right? There's a lot of mental illness in the world, but I feel like we're in a world of a broken clock where the time is right twice a day type of thing, rather than in a world where the time is always right. And so for most of humanity, there's this, we're out of alignment with the world because the world is out of alignment. And the world works for a very limited number of people today. And so that forces you to think like, am I broken or is the world broken? Let me help you. The world is broken, right? Like, it's not you.
Thank God.
No, it really isn't you. Like,
it's not me.
No, it isn't. Like, and so it's easy for us to, well, I mean, and you know how I know the world is broken? Because it's dying around us. We're killing it. Like, it's not that it's so broken, it's dying, right? That's how broken it is. So it's okay though. No, it is okay.
You're still optimistic.
No, it's fine because the world is broken because we allow it to be broken. And you stop allowing it to be broken when you start pursuing your purpose, right? When you compromise on who you are, everything starts failing. And then you get to this situation where the whole world is some crappy compromise that no one wants, right? And then you're like, how did this happen? It's like, well, it starts with you. Stop compromising. Work on something you want. Don't allow things around you to be the way that isn't right. I try, and trying is not good enough anymore. We've got to step it up and be like, I don't allow compromises, right? So I'm at the point now where I don't compromise at anything that I do. But there are things around me that are compromises, that are, like in a hotel and they always wash everything, even if you don't put it on the floor. Right? Usually the thesis is if you put it on the floor, wash it. And like, I don't want you to wash everything in my room. Like, sometimes I do, but like 99% of the time it's no.
And I don't need 6 towels.
Yeah. So there's some things that like I could write a note to and I don't know if that would change their behavior because they have hotel policies. I try to look at hotels that are more environment, try to carbon offset. So, at least in the things that I do, I try not to find myself in compromises, but there are things around me that are difficult. But I think we all need to start being super conscious about like every little thing that we do, the compromises that might be in there, and try to eradicate as many as possible in everything. So I have 3 children, I'm divorced, and I have a trash bin in my house, and it's this big, and I empty it maybe once a week, most likely every 2 weeks, and I don't bring the garbage out to the curb maybe once a month. So that means that I have a household. Now I have 50% of the time 3 kids and myself and sometimes friends and guests, but like it produces like 1 can of garbage a month.
And how do you do that?
Because I try not to compromise. So I buy stuff at the farmer's market every week, and they produce some glass containers. I reuse the glass containers.
That's a kind of business I would love seeing thriving here, because when I go, let's say, to the grocers and I say, look, I brought my own, and they still use their own piece of paper, and I said, no, please use my own. I don't need yours. And they,
that's
come on,
tough.
you're crazy.
I get why, it's tough, and they don't want to get you sick because you put it on. I understand. I mean, it's food waste is a huge issue, but there's massive progress on reusable and biodegradable packaging and all this stuff.
Do you see opportunity there?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I know this following statement to be 100% true. If every human on the planet, and this will happen in the next decade, goes through a journey to realize their purpose in the world and starts pursuing it, every problem will be gone. And because we all are aware of what the issues are, there's solutions in many of us. We all want to turn our life into a beautiful existence with meaning, where money is a means to an end, and where this, all this stuff that's happened is crazy. Like the income inequality, the amount of trash we're producing, it's just no one can agree with it.
Okay.
No one, the rich people, the poor, literally, I don't think I've met a single human being on any side of the spectrum that's like, it's working.
No,
right?
it's not.
Right. So,
it's not.
But all that
we
is
are
within,
all mad. We all think the others are crazy and it doesn't work.
But everyone thinks that, right?
Exactly.
And so now, but let that go for a minute and just focus on yourself. And when you start realizing what your purpose is and start working on it and start stopping the compromises, I'm telling you, things change really quickly. And someone who lives in a world where I still have to buy crap with some plastic on it produces like one little garbage can every week or 2 weeks and takes the garbage out every month. And
it's recyclable.
Yeah, and I can go further, right? But then it becomes truly inconvenient where I'm like, I don't even know, like, though I've been thinking about it, like growing my own food would be is
that's
a step
extreme.
than it.
That's extreme. You have
for me, because I don't have a lot of time, right? Yeah.
And you have other things to do.
Yeah, but so where I'm going is you once you start weeding out the compromises, your contribution to the broken system declines rapidly, and suddenly you're a positive contributor.
Do you agree that we have at least 95% of the tools and technologies we need to fix everything in the world?
Oh, we have 100%.
So if we have all that, we only need entrepreneurs to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
And to fix the system.
I agree. That's why I do what I do. Here's how I see things. So the UN SDGs have painted a beautiful pathway from A to B. A being where we are now, B being life on a planet where we can be proud of how we live and the world around us is beautiful. Okay? It may not be perfect. Perfection is in the eye of the beholder, but it's beautiful. Okay? And I don't think we can look around today and say the world is beautiful. But I think we can get to the point where we are proud of the world and we can say it's beautiful. And 2030 is the target. So 2020, 2030, what happens? Okay, first, we need entrepreneurs to go through an introspective journey of self-awareness and start origin stories, pure heart, pure mind, no compromise, about building beautiful things. To your point, they start building these companies today. 10-year-old company is a powerful company. So in 10 years from now, a company that starts with pure intention can have a big, big impact in the world. Many of the, like Google and Amazon, all these guys were huge in 10 years old. Imagine a 10-year-old company with a good founding mission, a good vision. Now, while these companies are growing, pursuing pure, beautiful visions over the next 10 years, we also need to start healing as the wider humanity. And every human on this planet needs to go through a deep moment of introspection and make sure that they're in alignment with their own purpose and meaning on this planet. And what I hope and see as what will happen is that when the 2020 to 2025, the next Amazon, Google, Facebook, Netflix, Apple get started, and they're started with these beautiful intentions. Then by around 2025, the mass of humanity, if not all of humanity, goes through some sort of introspective self-awareness process so that we can coast into the 2030 deadline of the UN SDGs with humanity really on this beautiful journey of turning this planet into a place that we can be proud of and into a place that is beautiful.
Let me take that home, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your inspiration, and for the people that want to learn more about it. There's still money to be spent and knowledge to be gained from the Founder Institute.
Thank you.
Also in Bucharest. So thank you again. Have a safe trip home. And I hear you're going to meet a lot of interesting people here in Bucharest. Spread the good word. And I'm going to play this and also call on our people in power to put those 100 millions in there, which they will not. But
well, don't say that. How about this? Let's rephrase that. There's an opportunity for Bucharest and Romania to lead Eastern Europe. And I gave you a simple roadmap to do so that I assure you will work. So hopefully you take the advice.
Thank you and God bless. Vă mulțumesc tuturor că ne-ați urmărit. Îi mulțumesc și invitatului nostru. Dacă vă plac podcasturile acestea și vă dau inspirație, le puteți și asculta pe Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, TuneIn, Deezer și chiar pe buhnici.ro/podcast. Le puteți descărca și asculta oriunde vă este vouă de folos. Dați un like, un share și un subscribe pe YouTube dacă ne-ați și vizionat. Iar până data viitoare să vă fie numai bine.